Hey everyone, welcome to the Capital City Bourbon Show. This is your host Luke, and I'm here with my co-hosts Alex and John. We're thrilled to be here with you all today, so grab yourself a glass of whiskey and come join us on the porch. Hey everyone, welcome to the inaugural episode of the Capital City Bourbon Show podcast. This is your host, Luke, and I'm here with my co-hosts and partners in crime, Alex Patel, and the high horse himself, John Hill. We are thrilled to be here today for this first podcast episode. And just to give you all a little bit of a background, for the past year or so, you've probably gotten used to watching our video series that we've been filming at Market Square here in Tallahassee. We've had a blast doing that, and we're going to continue to do that in the future. But in light of the COVID pandemic and our personal travel schedules and family schedules, we kind of need to come up with a format that's a little more accessible for us to record and accessible for all of you. So we're launching this podcast today. We've been working really hard the past few months to come up with some very unique ideas, and we have a lot of projects in the works. We have some great collaborations coming up with other podcasters and social media influencers. We've also lined up some awesome interviews with master distillers and master blenders and other people in the whiskey business. So we're really excited. We invite you to join us along the way for that. Speaking of special guests and exciting episodes, we wanted to start off our first episode with some really exciting people in the whiskey business from Phenomenal Spirits. If you don't know Phenomenal Spirits yet, you will. We've been seeing a lot of it in the work that we do, and we were just really excited to be able to share some experiences and some great whiskey with you all today. We are joined by Khartik Sudhir, who's the CEO of Phenomenal Spirits, and we're also joined by Matt Witzig, who is the master blender for Phenomenal Spirits. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Luke. First of all, really an honor to be the first a guest in your podcast. Really, really fortunate. And thank you so much. Again, my name is Khartik Sudhir. I'm the CEO of Phenomenal Spirits. Phenomenal Spirits as a company, we started in 2017. It's an idea. It's a platform. It's an incubation platform to create an exceptionally high quality spirits. We are brand developers. We are blenders by passion. Not that we cannot distill. We can absolutely distill. We have a lot of experience. Myself, I went to Moonshine University to get a distillation certification. Get to learn more about the craft and the skills of it. Third day into the distillation, I kind of figured out that I am not a distiller. I can't lie to myself. I am just not a distiller. I love blending. I love creating products. I love creating, brands, design, route to market strategy, development, leadership. These are something which really excites me. And there is nothing bigger than whiskey. Spirits is something which connects people. You're happy, you're sad, you're in Tallahassee, you're in California, in Laguna Beach, doesn't matter. It all brings together. So thank you guys. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, one of the things that I've absolutely noticed though is that now I'm old school. I was, came up with the Market Square barrel team going back to 2005 and even earlier picking barrels. And you're absolutely right. The community came to the point where, they were looking for the master distiller's art and everything. But what Luke has introduced me to, and I had some connections with it, but what I've been introduced by Luke to is the number of blenders and people who are sourcing the whiskey and sending us some very, very good spirits in a bottle. And in the final analysis, that's the bottom line. I mean, how does it taste? Is it good? And if you can blend a damn good bottle of whiskey, I'm all in. I'm not looking for knowing that you've been distilling whiskey 45 years and your son and your grandfather. That's not important to me. What's important to me is what's in the bottle.
Yeah. My goal by the end of this podcast is to learn something from you all and from Luke and John and Alex, and obviously for us to share our passion to your audience. For us, what you guys are doing is absolutely important for the craft industry, and we take that very, very seriously, near and dear to the heart. I was telling Matt, this year our singular focus is how do we get closer to the community? The community is the bourbon enthusiast, the bourbon, I wouldn't want to call it as influencers because it creates a tag or it creates kind of a vested interest. I would say more of community, because you are the guys who are going to help us, get our message to the people, right? So how do we get closer to you guys? This is an open book. You can ask any questions, and we're going to be, as transparent as possibly we can from our side.
That's really important because, one thing we've learned in doing these video series and these recordings is that transparency is the most important thing for consumers. And I think particularly in whiskey, in recent years, you've seen this huge outpouring of sourced whiskey, and the complaints we hear from so many people are, well, what is it? What am I drinking? Where did it come from? Who made it? How old is it? And that's, I think, the biggest problem right now with some new products is people just don't know what they're getting, and in some ways they feel kind of cheated. So it's really nice to hear that you're being so transparent and really trying to interact with consumers.
Right. That's something which Matt and I, as a company and as a philosophy, life philosophy, we said we are going to let the consumer know where the product is coming, how it is made, how many years of age it is, what's the components, goes into the blend, except we are not going to give you the proportion because, that's PMI for our competition. But other than that, it's an open book. If somebody wants to replicate it, be our guest, because we know what it takes to make whiskey. And John and Alex and Luke, you guys been around, you've seen enough brands. This is a hard business.
Well, Master Blender has become a title now that is getting just as much respect as Master Distiller, in my opinion. And we've had an opportunity to talk to 2 or 3 Master Blenders, and they, they're not smoking a pipe in their rocking chair on the front porch talking about it. They're like Matt was saying, man, he goes down in the basement, he's working.
You just nailed it, John. So just to that reference, right? If you look at the Scotch world, if you look at the wine world or Armagnac or Cognac, it's blenders what matters. It is the master blenders who do the magic. And for many, many years in the bourbon industry, in the American craft industry, the prominence has always been the distiller. That narrative is changing, especially due to the craft, resurgence of the craft industry, and the acceptance is slowly coming. And Matt can, attest to that. He being a master blender and also a master distiller, he is seeing a lot of, acceptance from the community as him being the master blender now. So you just nailed it. So John and Alex, how are you related in the industry? Can you give us a little bit of a background to us on the whiskey industry?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So in Tallahassee, there was an old institution, Market Square Liquors, about 6 years ago. Myself and my other partners, we bought that place from one of John Hill's friends who was getting ready to retire. And like he had said, they had started a barrel program there in 2005. And I was just, I was like, this is such a great undervalued asset. And I really love what they're doing here. So we came in, rebranded it, and really just rejuvenated the brand. We have about a 5,000 square foot retail floor space and a 1,200 square foot, indoor bar, outdoor cigar bar. We pride ourselves on our barrel team, the MSL barrel team. We've gotten following in the entire Southeast and all over the country. We'll fly up and do picks at Buffalo Trace, and people come up to us and be like, you guys are those Market Square guys. At any given time, we pride ourselves in being like a top 5 bourbon bar in America. I mean, I might be tooting my horn here, but you'll be hard pressed to find a list that can really compete with ours, and as well as our barrel selection. I mean, we'll have anywhere between 4 to 15 bottles that are single barrel picks from different distilleries on our floor at all times.
Phenomenal. And do you guys ship nationally, like through an e-commerce platform by any chance, or you do not?
Yet. And actually, during COVID, I've been working with the team. We built a website. We built an e-commerce platform. And we're literally in the next few days going to be launching that. But we're focusing on our spirits, things that make us unique. I'm not worried about competing with the same products with everybody else, but just things that differentiate us as in our wine and in our spirits and barrel program selections.
I can't wait to get to your town and, smoke some fine cigar and, and listen to all the stories. And it's all about the stories. For me, it's all about the stories, what I want to hear.
So we've been talking a lot about blending and master blenders. So that's a perfect segue into our second guest I mentioned we have with us today, Matt Witzig, who is the master blender for Phenomenal Spirits. Matt, I know your name means something to me because I've heard it many times and I know about your background, but just for our listeners, could you go ahead and tell us just a little bit about yourself and how you got with Phenomenal?
Yeah. So as I said, Matt Witzig, I'm the COO and master blender for Phenomenal Spirits. My journey kind of started back in 2013. I'm one of the owners and founders of a distillery called Joseph Magnus in Washington, D.C. I built the place and ran all operations, daily operations, distillation, and I was the head blender for there as well, and mentored under Nancy Fraley. But yeah, so that's kind of where I got my background. I said mentored under Nancy and also Dave Shurek from Woodford Reserve. Kind of gave me my distillation experience. So I oversaw operations there for a number of years. And in 2018, started doing some consulting. And one thing that I always wanted to get into was the rye side of things. I kind of had my passion for rye. And it led me to the distillery, on the weekend and distilling my own barrels. It was something I wanted to start doing on a regular basis, but we were just had to be at max capacity on bourbon just to keep up with growing our own inventory that we never kind of got to get to that side of things. So I was out and I met this gentleman by the name of Khartik Sudhir, and he had his amazing Azalco rum. And he was trying to get into the rye whiskey side and develop, something new and different. So we just kind of started talking, and I helped him develop a plan. And it was right before Thanksgiving, and he's like, you know what? He's like, I think we need to build our own blending facility. What do you think? I said that'd be great. Where do you want to do it? He lives out in Laguna Beach and in California. I'm here in Virginia Beach. He's like, pick a spot. Where do you want to go? I'm like, well, I'm sure I can find a place right around here. And he came into town and we went out for a couple of drinks, had a cigar, sat down by a fire on the beach. And that's kind of where our bromance started. And the idea of Rye 3 whiskey really took off. And then it was, getting a warehouse, doing the build out of our blending facility down here and started, doing our barrel selections and started blending some amazing whiskey.
Well, Rye 3 is, a brand that I've seen coming up a lot. And that's what actually put me in connection with Khartik as well. Because I kept seeing this bottle. And I have to tell you guys, I know all that matters is what's in the bottle. But the bottle still looks really damn nice. And I saw that bottle and I said to myself, that is so interesting, so unique. It makes me want to look into it more. And I did. And so, we're going to talk about these whiskeys in detail. And y'all were kind enough to send us some great Rye 3 whiskey to try. But you really hit it out of the park with the bottle design, the label, everything about it just wants to bring you in and to try it. And that's important.
Yeah, very important. So the idea of Phenomenal Spirits is we want to be an international player. Somebody asked us, what do you want to be? Where do you want to see in 5 years? We want to be a legitimate craft company, but we are an international player. We are not here for the masses. We are here for that people who really appreciate fine spirits. That was like the mission of the company is phenomenal spirits, phenomenal people, phenomenal moments. We're not here to conquer the world. We just want to associate with the audience, which appreciate the craft whiskey. And the most important thing is price it right. Don't break people's bank, Price it right so that the retailers have proper margins, distributors have proper margins, and people feel that for a $55, I got an awesome juice, which is a fine aged juice, which was cask finished, which was high proof, and packaging is great, wooden cork. Something's right up here, At some point of time, somebody's going to say, okay, all right, okay, we give up, okay, fine, we'll recognize you guys. We're heading that path, and our margins are low, but we are very, very. Matt and I have seen. We walk down up and down the aisles in liquor stores, and we see like $90 bottle. I mean, good for people who can afford it, but not everybody wants to shell a $90 bottle. We want to be in that. Yeah, so that's the whole idea. Yeah.
So, we have these two great whiskeys here, and, I can't just sit here and look at them any longer. I got to dive in. Matt, what do you think we should start with today?
Let's start with the rum finish.
All right, the rum finish.
I'm about 30 minutes ahead of you guys here.
So this is a blend, obviously, of 3 ryes. Can you tell us anything about the rye that went into this?
Yeah. So 3 different mash bills, 3 distillates, 3 age statements. We have our kind of the base component of our blend is the legendary 95.5 MGP rye whiskey. Kind of build on that structure of that. We use a 12-year-old light whiskey from MGP as well. And then to kind of finish it off and give it that nice, delicious long finish, we use a 4-year-old 100% rye from Alberta.
What was the second one? A light whiskey, did you say?
It's 12-year-old light whiskey. So light whiskey is usually 99 or 100% corn distillate. Comes off the still at 160 or higher, and it's aged in either uncharred or used cooperage. So kind of what the light whiskey does for it kind of gives it that buttery note, some really good butterscotch notes as well. It gives it a little bit of viscosity, really richens and depthens the finish on it.
Is that common in the blending industry, that light whiskey? That's the first I've heard of it.
It's not very common. I think it's starting to now, see a little bit more light. People are starting to learn more about it. When people in the past, blended whiskey, blended bourbon, whatever it was, blends usually had a bad reputation because a lot of times people are using grain neutral spirits as one of the components, which is allowed by TTB. We do not use any grain neutral spirits in our products, but kind of for one of those extra components, using something outside of rye, we have to be at least 51% straight rye in the product, which we exceed that. But we use that light whiskey because it has that nice, long age on it, and it just brings a different characteristic to it. Me personally, when I was distilling my rye barrels, I shot for 70% rye, 20% corn, 10% malted barley. And I love rye, but sometimes, you get too much of that bite on the top. So I wanted to kind of use some corn to mellow it out. So I use that same exact principle when we were working on this, the components for this blend. So that light whiskey really kind of helps take some of those edges off those rye components. And then obviously, we then put it into the Izalco rum barrels, which really just smooths out all of its rough edges.
Where's that company based out of, or where do these barrels come from, the rum barrels?
The rum barrels we're getting from Central America. We're getting our rum barrels are coming. There is Izalco rum barrels from Central America.
It's delightful. It's a delightful drink.
Yeah, you really get to pull that molasses over. Like to me, when I'm drinking it, when you're doing these rum or other types of finishes, it's always hit or miss, right? And you guys did a really good job on this with pulling it so that it's not overfinished or underfinished. And it kind of really reminds me of just having like a Scotch features to it, but I mean, it's really very well done.
So one of the, obviously I've done a lot with cask finishing over the past couple of years, and the last thing you wanted to do is have it overpower the rye itself, the whiskey. You don't want it to taste like somebody just took a bunch of rum and dumped it into your whiskey. You want it to taste, you want it to pick up some of those characteristics. So like this, it's going to pick up some of the baking spices. It's going to pick up some of those fruity notes. Get some mango and pineapple on it, a little bit of green apple. And those are those characteristics, that you're getting from that rum cask. And it's one of those things too, like, we went through the aging process, kind of figured, we were doing it during the summertime, gets nice, hot and humid down here in Virginia Beach. It can be up, around 105, 110 in our warehouse. So we knew that finishing would probably take a little bit quicker, and, tasted every single week, pulled samples, and we ended up pulling it right around the 7-week mark. At that point, it was starting to pick up a little bit extra tannins, and it had just picked up, just the right amount of flavoring from the barrels, and we said it was ready to go.
Well, it's absolutely wonderful, and I know we've already said this, but on the nose, I get that deep, rich molasses, and when I first nosed this, and I nosed it for a while before I actually tasted it, I was a little concerned because I said, you know what, I'm not a big fan of finished whiskey. I'm getting a lot of rum here, and I have a feeling that rum finish is going to take over. But I drink this, and I never question whether or not I'm drinking a rye. It doesn't take over. That rye character is still there. The finish is very subtle, and that's why I like it. And that's something I struggle with in so many finished products, is I just don't think the finish strikes that balance.
Well, it seems to hit my simple mind that, when we're talking about putting it in another barrel, but I never quite understood the marriage of a wine barrel and bourbon or rye. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me. I wouldn't mix them together. But rum, with its sweetness and everything it's got going for it, just seems like a natural marriage partner for this. So I think you're right, Luke. I think that this makes more sense when you're talking about giving something a barrel finish to go with something that complements what you're putting in the barrel to begin with. And this is very nice. It's a delicious drink.
What made you guys want to say, hey, we're going to do a finish series and we're going to do it in rum barrels? Like, what was the inspiration behind that? Because it's like, like we said, it's a shot in the dark. So it's like, hey, we're going to do something bold as hell here. Kind of tell us about that.
And it really was, because me and Khartik kept going back and forth when we were trying to figure this out. And he's like, we should do some tests. What is this going to taste like? I'm like, you know what? No, let's go all in on this. We did a large batch. It was about 5,500 bottles. We had 20 rum barrels in here that were all filled up. And I said, you know what? We're going to make this work. Just kind of wait and see. But the big reason for bringing the rum is that, under Phenomenal Spirits, we have both the Azalco rum brand and we have the Rye 3 brands. And we wanted to kind of have a way to tie the two together. So that's when we were saying, you know what, we got to bring in the rum barrel finish for this.
So the characteristics of the DNA remains within the company. So we are able to repurpose the barrels, repurpose the flavor profile. Most importantly, on the rum cask finish, you just nailed it, Luke. Because the cask finish, if you just do it a little over, it can overpower the base whiskey, and that's when things go south. It's such a delicate balance. I mean, when Matt and I put together the whiskey program, we were thinking that we may require like a 3 months of cask finish, but you cannot fight the Mother Nature, and the aging process. And after testing, we had to pull the liquid out on the 7th week. And we were shocked. And this is the time. It is now. If we give one more week, the oakiness and the rum is going to overpower the rye whiskey, and that's something which we don't want that to happen.
Yeah. We're getting ready to do our next batch of this, and now we're going to be in the winter time, so it'll probably take a little bit longer than what it did during the summertime. So one of the things that we do with this product in Phenomenal Spirits period is we're not going to release anything unless it's ready. We're very particular the way we handle things. We know that it's going to take time to do it and do it right. One of the other parts we do is we do a slow water reduction when we proof it down. So this product at cast strength was 119.4 proof. Our final bottle proof was 100. And, if it was up to me and Khartik, everything would go out at cast strength. But obviously, we got the mass group to appeal to. And there is a massive market for cast strength, but not everybody's there. So,
folks, it was so good. It was so good. The cast strength, even today, I'm like, oh my God, let's not water it down. It's so good. Next time, when we do our second batch, we'll get you a sample just for fun of it, and we'll hop on a phone call to taste the cast strength expression for the rum cast finish. Yeah.
So but obviously we had to add some water to it. So we go through a slow water reduction process. So we take anywhere from 2 to 3 months to take this product from the 119.4 all the way down to 100. And that is just every single day, just adding a little bit of water at a time until it gets down to that.
And why is that? Why is that? Why do you do it slowly? What does that make a difference?
It makes a massive difference. So if you add your water too quickly, it'll cause something called saponification. Basically, it's a chemical reaction that takes place, and it's going to start tasting like soap. So when you add things slowly to it, and over time, it doesn't disrupt this delicate product that you've spent months and months and months creating. It's going to give it a little bit more of a fruity nose to the nose of the product. And it's going to give it a much smoother finish in the end. So it's literally, we'll take a gallon jug, and just slowly drip water in for 20 minutes. And then the next day we'll do a little bit more. We just do it, over the course of a couple months until it's down to bottle proof.
So, John, this technique has been used in the French brandy production for many, many years, and the craft brandy production you're talking about, and it has not been employed in the whiskey industry because they have to roll out products quick. Distillation's done, aging's done, proof it down, bottle it, label it, and out the window, right? So, but here, our just blend would take us about 5 months, and we have to parallelly keep doing batches so that we can meet the production needs. It's a lot of planning. We have like a project tracker. It's a lot of project planning.
And this is one thing I explained to Khartik. I'm like, when we do this, like we're going to do this, we're going to do it this way. It's going to take a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, it's just going to create a much better product.
Well, we were talking about cast strength, and I got my mouth is starting to water here because the second one we have is the cast strength private reserve rye 3 whiskey, and this is 59.7%. And I definitely want to jump into that because we are a group that loves cast strength whiskey, and I just have a feeling as much as we love the rum finish, we're going to have a lot to talk about with this cast strength.
Well, I can say this before we leave it entirely, is I could drink this rum finish all night long. This is very good. Congratulations.
So the cast strength that we're drinking here, this is the same blend of rye that went into the rum finish?
It is. Yep. So instead of adding it to the rum barrel, this just goes into its own tank and stays right there at cast strength.
Well, one thing that jumped out to me initially that is a great sign, but is dangerous, is that this does not nose like a cast strength whiskey. And I do not, if you were telling me just on the nose, this was 120 proof, I would say that's just not possible. It's not there. And that's dangerous. And I love it, but.
Yeah. So it's the same case with our cast strength rum too. We have a rum at 55.3, which is a 15-year age rum. And that too does not taste as if it's like 55.3, which is 110.6. It's all, the magic and the trick is in the blend. And blending component and how carefully it has been blended, and the slow water reduction on the 100 proof really matters a lot. Light whiskey does matter a lot. The cask strength was something which we were planning to do for 2021, but we were almost this was dictated by the market, by the consumer. So our private reserve program is the barrel pick program, and that's why on the label it says as private reserve. Private reserve is exclusively for a retailer or a whiskey club or a bourbon society, and only available for them. And this particular product, cask strength, as of now, we have no intentions to make it publicly available for everybody. So that's our route to market. That's our how we are going to be able to make sure that the cask strength expression is provided and going to the people who enjoy that. It's not for everybody, right?
That's genius, because it's barrel teams like ours and whiskey societies in other cities that are going to get this, and those are going to be your biggest enthusiasts.
Yes.
And you're going to get the most organic growth in consumer-based following from that. I mean, that's a genius tactical there. Absolutely.
Right. And Alex, for your point, for your company like yourself, for your your business. So the 2021, we have a different program where we provide you the barrel pick. So the base barrel, you get to pick the base barrel of 95.5, which is a 3-year aged MGP. And Matt's going to, amongst the so many barrels which we are going to be picking in January, Matt's going to pick the best barrels which will go exclusively for the private reserve program, and he'll send you the samples, and you folks make the decision which barrel do you want to go after, and that will be the base component for your exclusively available for you. And then Matt's going to start working on the other component of the 4-year 100% rye from Alberta and the 12-year light whiskey from MGP, and that 225 or 30 bottles or how much ever it is will be specifically, we'll have a logo, batch number, bottle number, and available only for you guys.
Wow, that sounds phenomenal. That sounds phenomenal. You're gonna make that back. It really is. I mean, you're going to take that barrel and make it pop. And I can't tell you how many times we've picked a barrel, and we've picked hundreds, and you get one taste at the distillery or when you're picking from the barrel program, and it's not always exactly the same when it gets to you in the bottle. Now, I don't know what explains that, but it's not always. I know they're not switching barrels or anything, but it's you don't remember it tasting just exactly like that. Sometimes it's better, but the idea that you, Matt, will take that base barrel and work on it to achieve some kind of deliciousness is just really impressive. And now you're working on a barrel. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just picking some. Yeah.
Exactly. And that is your battle. Right. And it's not getting blended in a big, massive tank, which has whiskeys allocated for other people. No, it is exclusively for you guys, Yeah. That's and there's a lot of interest on that. And I know that's how we want to get closer to people. And we do two meetings. One is a barrel pick meeting where, we do once we send the sample, we get on a phone call, we review the taste notes and, what you like, what you don't like. And once the decision is done, then we go back and work on the blend part. And after 2.5 months, we'll, when the bottle is ready, and once the product is distributed to you, we get together and have a celebratory meeting. And it's like a battle pick celebratory, happy hour together, so that and we'll retain a couple of bottles for ourselves, Matt and I, and so that we can cheers with you guys.
Well, this cask strength, I wish we could share this with the people listening, because it really is just exceptional. The mouthfeel is wonderful, and just a lingering heavy rye finish. Plenty of sweetness there, but really as that finish fades, just that spice the back of my tongue is lingering perfectly. A drink so smooth for something that nearly 120 proof. I mean, it's just candy going down. And, unfortunately, I will eventually have to get home. But it's just something you could drink a bottle of and not even have an issue with it.
Right. Now, Alex, question to Alex. In your business, do you folks do a lot of rye whiskey battle picks?
We do. We absolutely do. We actually just recently did some Whistle Pigs. We bought about 5 barrels from Whistle Pig in the last year. And so we bought 2 from them. One was a 2019 bottling and one was a 2020 bottling. We called it. So we recently, last year, we moved our facilities. We rebuilt from ground up a whole new store and bar. So we called one barrel the Big Move. And then the one that was bottled this year, we called it the Lost Year because, COVID and all that. But we carry a ton of ryes. We go through a lot of the Michter's rye products, the Whistle Pigs, Knob Creek. We have a single barrel of Knob Creek rye as well.
Now, do you make that available to your consumer, your members only, or is it available for people who walk into the store too?
So we will start something more like a club here soon, but everything that we carry is always available by the glass in the lounge. And we keep some of the, you can go into my place and get Pappy 10 for like $20. We have the best prices in the country, and the purpose of that is to pass on education. I want everybody to have the experience that they're looking for and try things that they're never going to get to try, because the secondary market really has just messed everything up.
You are going to be the most loved person very, very soon, my friend. If
not a chance.
Well, that's actually why we started filming the Capital City Bourbon Show at Market Square, because, the options for things to taste and share on that show. I mean, doing like the entire BTAC line, some of the really limited Michter's, in Michter's 20, that's not something you walk into a bar and find. And that's, Alex was kind enough, through our friendship developed through whiskey, said, guys, let's go to the lounge and let's start sharing some of these things with people so they know, what to expect. Because like you pointed out earlier, Khartik, there's, for some people, spending $90 on a bottle of whiskey is not an option. Well, same thing with a glass of whiskey. So for some people, spending $20, $30, it's a one-time thing or once in a year thing. And we wanted to help share our tasting notes and experiences with those whiskeys that Market Square has, so people know when they go in, okay, the guys talked about this and they said it had these characteristics, and that's what I'm looking for. And we had such great feedback when we started doing that from viewers saying, listen, we really wanted to try the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. It wasn't an option to really buy all 5 glasses, but we took your advice and we were so happy we did. It was amazing. And that just, for me, was such a rewarding thing to do, to actually get so much engagement right here in Tallahassee and beyond. But
Excellent. Guys, I after hearing all the story about the Market Square, I can't wait to get down there. Next year, one of the top priorities is Florida as a market for us to open up. We actually got the license, all the label registration, everything is done. And, we there's some early conversation with some distributors, but next year, Florida is definitely a top priority for us to open up. Right now, we still have route to market if we want to open up through LibDib. Liberation Distribution has access. We are signed up with LibDib in California, and it's easy switch over for us. We can open the market like this in a flip, like overnight right now if we want to. But we would like to have feet on the ground and have a proper distribution, and all those good stuff. So what's the future of podcast? Luke and John and Alex, is this like, do you plan to go to distilleries next year, or do you intend to do a lot more shoots like this until the COVID is done? What's the vision of the podcast?
So unfortunately, we have come to terms with COVID, and we're making the best of it, though. We have some really great things lined up with some master distillers and blenders, things that no one's ever done before, that we've all been working really hard on to really have some experiences that no one else has shared. And that's kind of our short-term focus. But the guys at Market Square, like Alex said, they are one of these stores that are having 3 samples sent to them and are picking it. They go up to the distilleries. They're meeting with blenders and distillers, and we would love to be able to share that. Obviously, COVID put some limitations on that, and the future is definitely bright for more live type events and sharing those barrel pick experiences. But for the time being, we have these podcast episodes that we're going to record like this, but again, I don't want to undersell it because we got some very, very exciting things coming. I know John and Alex are excited. I'm excited. And there's a lot that's been going into planning this and making sure that, we're not just another podcast that talks about whiskey, because there's a lot of those. We want to do things that are unique and that people will say, wow, those guys did that. I've never seen that. I didn't know you could do that. And that's what we're all working on. And this is really a passion for all 3 of us. And I'm so fortunate that John and Alex joined me on this, because I don't know enough about any of this to know what I'm doing. But when I got 2 great partners with me, we get things done. And I can promise you we will have a lot of great things coming in the near future.
Well, I can tell you that the exciting thing to me about the podcast, and where Luke has been taking my tasting experience, is, we grew from these old master distillers who are making great whiskey and great bourbons in Kentucky, and we've come to know them. And most of them, if not all of them, have been down here and visited with us on more than one occasion, and spent time with us. And that goes across all of the major distilleries and some others. But the exciting thing to me, and where the podcast, and it's really where Luke is going with it, is a meeting like this one today, and meeting with guys like yourself. And even when we were dealing mostly with the Rutledges and the Russells and everybody else of the world, along comes a guy like Trey Zuller, and Trey starts, he doesn't even claim to be making his own whiskey, but he ended up sourcing some good stuff, and he put out some very good brands. And the purist, quote, we're saying, well, look, he's not really making his own whiskey. They were giving the guys at Michter a little bit of a hard time at that time. So it's a tough market. It's a tough bunch of guys, these purists that you're talking about, reaching the influencers was a tough market. But we're talking to people like yourself, and people that are blending some delicious whiskeys. There's not a damn thing wrong with this one. I can drink either one of these as long as you want to. But the excitement to me is where you guys are taking the market. And I think you're really taking it in a great, exciting new direction. I was a doubter at first when it came to, I don't really know these people, but man, you guys know your whiskey and blending. And congratulations, Matt. This is all very good stuff. And I'm excited about meeting people like you on the podcast. And hopefully we'll have an audience that will meet you as well. Well, I can't thank you enough for allowing us to share this with you. It's really been a great experience, and what you're doing is phenomenal. And I mean, you guys you're on target. And I look forward to tasting everything you decide to put out in the future.
Yeah. No, I mean, we this is like a very assuring for us, because, we put our life into building this company and brand, and we are risking a lot on not many. There are, if you see the market and the craft brands, there are a lot more cask finish on the bourbon side, but not on the rye side. And it's not easy to do a cask finish on the rye side, because the complexity and the rye bites, the spiciness, and the whole structure of rye just cannot go blend, do a finish with any barrels. You got to have that vision, the product vision, the flavor profile vision on, what might go well, what kind of rum might go well. We probably might not be able to blend with a 15-year-old, cask. Maybe 10-year cask might be better, So these kind of things which we have to, start envisioning before even we build a product. And if you see, if you see the marketplace on the rye side, maybe there are only 2 or 3 brands which has cask finish, right? And right now we're still dabbling. Next year, we may do some experimental cask finish. Matt and I, this morning, we were having a conversation. Maybe Mizunara cask, maybe, Rosso, maybe Armagnac. We don't know. But we will be doing some experimental cask and see. It's for us. Matt and I will test it out. If it's only phenomenal, somebody else is going to get the sample. If it's not phenomenal, it is not going to leave the blending house. It's for us. It's our R&D effort, Alex, we would love to do some collaboration with you for your business at some point of time with Luke and John and you folks. It would be an ultimate honor for us to do a battle pick for you, for your community, for your group, for your members. And whenever you're ready, no pressure, whenever you're ready, we would love to do something with you.
Hey, listen, you guys let me know when you're in Florida and we'll get it loaded up. We'll figure something out. I mean, anything to drink some more of this good stuff. And to that, it's, like when we first started the whole Capital City bourbon thing and the pod and cast and everything, it was just like, let's start tasting everything that people usually don't. But then it started progressing into, there's this resurgence of craft blenders and craft brands, and there's so many of them coming out. What are they tasting like? What are their stories? And a lot of times, I'll be honest with you. A lot of times, most people's stuff tastes like nail polish remover, and you can just easily tell when people are in over their heads, man. But you guys really got it together. This is some really good stuff. So when you guys are in Florida, Capital City, you guys consider yourself have a place at our shop anytime.
100%. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, Matt, Khartik, we know you guys are busy, so we know we do have to let you go, unfortunately, but cannot thank you enough for sharing your product with us and your passion. Can't thank you enough for joining us. To all of our listeners, Rye 3 whiskey is just a wonderful experience. When we share this link, we'll make sure we share a link to Phenomenal's website, and I think there are some links for purchasing options. We'll make sure we include all that. So when you're done listening here, check that out. I really don't think you'll be disappointed.
100%. Luke, John, Alex, thank you so much. Take care, guys. Thank you so much.
Hey everyone, thanks again for tuning in to the Capital City Bourbon Show. We have more great episodes planned for you in the future, so come back and join us on the porch. Cheers, y'all.